Hey, what's happening everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day, and welcome to today's Pokemon GO discussion video. Okay, so the original intention for this video was meant to be something really positive towards Pokemon GO. I wanted to give Niantic a bunch of praise for how they implemented the max battle system, and I do think that this system is incredibly well designed. There's actually a lot of potential with this system, and I do think it's great content for Pokemon GO. Regardless of what you're looking for within this game, if you take a moment and engage with the new max battle system, I actually think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. However, this video is actually not going to be positive, and the reason for that is because there's one aspect of the new max battle system which I find to be incredibly egregious, and it's definitely predatory. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, when you complete a max battle, you're going to see a reward screen very similar to when you complete a raid. The only difference is that there's going to be a new UI button where you're going to get double the amount of rewards if you spend 200 Pokecoins right then and there. Yeah, this is terrible for Pokemon GO, to say the least. This button is absolutely not necessary, and the only reason why it is there is because when it comes to max battles, it is a system that is very straightforward and not something that requires any kind of monetization. So because of that, Niantic is trying to squeeze out your hard-earned dollars by having this button within the reward screen. I firmly believe that not a single player would ever want to press this button in order to spend 200 Pokecoins for what amounts to some additional Premier Balls and some Raspberries. It really is never going to be worth it. But I think the reason why this button is there is because for newer players who do not know any better, they might actually end up spending those 200 Pokecoins, not realizing that they are getting completely ripped off. And there's also going to be some players out there who might press it by accident and end up draining their Pokecoins without ever intending to. The very existence of this button actually makes me concerned for the future of Pokemon GO, because it really exposes the direction that Niantic wants to take when it comes to this game. Since they're not making a lot of money off of their player base as a result of their design decisions, they might now resort to these shady practices to try to essentially steal that money away from their player base. Seriously, I really want them to get rid of this, because when it comes to max battles, and like I said at the beginning of this video, it is incredibly well designed, and I do think Niantic did a really good job with it. The only thing that is kind of hindering it is these little things that they added into max battles that actually taint the system and make it less perfect. I mean, seriously, I really want to enjoy max battles, but I'm also afraid that I'm accidentally going to spend 200 Pokecoins for stuff that I don't ever need, and this is something that I really wish was just not a part of Pokemon GO. The fact that this button exists just goes to show that Niantic only cares about making revenue rather than having really solid game design. I mean, for crying out loud, even some of the most egregiously monetized games that are out there do not resort to these tactics, or at least they do not do it anymore. I mean, these are some of the things that the gaming community has rejected for a very long time. But the fact that Niantic is implementing this sort of stuff into their new game features, it really does kind of expose what kind of culture they might actually have over at that studio. And I should totally clarify that a lot of this is speculation. Maybe these sort of decisions were not even made by Niantic developers themselves, but someone in the higher ups. I really do not know what the case may be, but this button needs to go. It should not belong in Pokemon GO by any means. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some of you in the comments that are going to be giving a rebuttal to this whole thing, mainly because when it comes to this button, it is something that is optional. You do not ever have to press this button. And for anyone who does press this button, I'm sure some of you are going to argue that it is their own fault if they lose out on those Pokecoins because they were not careful. But again, the very existence of this button just goes to show that this game is going in a very bad direction. As much as us as players are fully aware that this button can cause some players to lose out on Pokecoins, Niantic is also fully aware of that. They're not implementing this button innocently. They totally recognize that this is going to be a way for them to squeeze out Pokecoins from players, because it is pretty evident that you do not need to ever spend any money in order to engage with max battles. I think at the very least, if they wanted to maximize monetization with max battles in a way that it's not going to be predatory, then what they should have done is actually include these sort of bonuses as part of paid research tickets, or maybe through an item that you could purchase within the Pokeshop. Rather than having it within the rewards screen, I think it's better served as something that players could buy as an option within the Pokeshop itself. Something like that would have gone over a lot better, and I really do think that for what it's worth, Niantic needs to consider doing those sort of things rather than having them as buttons that you might accidentally press within the reward screen. I mean, they already have a bunch of in-app purchases related to max battles within the Pokeshop because you could purchase max particles, which you need in order to engage with these max battles to begin with, within the Pokeshop itself. You could exchange Pokecoins in order to get those max particles. So at the end of the day, there really is no reason for them to include this button because they already have a monetization model already in place. Now, this may not necessarily be that big of an issue within the Pokemon Go community right now, but I do think it's going to become a major issue later on when we get Gigantamax Pokemon within max battles. Those are going to be Pokemon that are going to be highly sought after, mainly because they have very unique forms and unique abilities, which I assume are going to have some impact within other aspects of Pokemon Go outside of Dynamax battles. So because of that, there's definitely going to be a lot more activity when it comes to max battles, and there's definitely going to be more opportunities for players to accidentally press that button. I sincerely hope that Niantic considers removing this button before that even happens, because yeah, there's going to be a lot of unhappy players out there, and it's going to do a lot of long-term damage to the reputation of this game, which, in my opinion, is something that Niantic needs to be really careful about. Let me close this off by saying this. With max battles coming out in Pokemon Go, there's definitely a lot of potential for some really good future content, but there's also a lot of potential for some really bad future content as a result of this button existing within this new system. I mean, anytime they release something new that involves rewards, they might include an option where you could spend Pokecoins and double the rewards. This really does set a new precedent for Pokemon Go, and when it comes to raid battles, Pokestop showcases, and Team Go Rocket battles, there's no stopping Niantic from having this button in pretty much all forms of content within this game, and it's definitely predatory. It should not exist in Pokemon Go. And for what it's worth, if Niantic sees that this button is actually causing players to spend a lot more for Pokecoins, even unwillingly, then yeah, they're definitely going to include it in pretty much every other aspect of this game, and it's not going to be a good look for Pokemon Go. I can guarantee that. I also think it's up to us as a Pokemon Go community to voice our concerns, make sure Niantic is fully aware that this feature is not something that is okay for the game, and then we should also educate players, especially those who just started playing Pokemon Go, that pressing this button is going to be detrimental. You should never press this button and spend 200 Pokecoins for double the rewards, because this is free to play content, and all of those rewards are never going to be worth that many Pokecoins. Make sure you spread the word and make sure you engage carefully with this new system. I definitely do predict that there's going to be a lot more unhappy players as a result of this existing within this game. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding this button as well as the new max battle system down below in the comments. And yeah, let's have a great discussion around it. I'm Jinsula. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.